My advice for teachers in teaching mental flexibility, I think, is to start early. I think to help children understand this best, I think they need to understand that the phonics system is one that works very well, but isn't perfect. So if you like, mental flexibility is kind of a plan B. So I think it's very helpful to explain that to children in terms that they can follow and understand, that phonics is useful and helpful but won't always work, and then to give them some nice concrete examples of how to do that. The most effective ways we found of doing this are by breaking the task down, so that sometimes they're doing this orally. So playing games with language, communicating in ways where they're decoding words but the words don't add up. Have proved to be most successful. So my advice around teaching mental flexibility and using phonics to teachers would be to start young, start at the beginning, and to teach children from the beginning that the phonics that they're learning is a great system. It's very effective in an alphabet, but it doesn't always work. So they need a plan B, and to use language that young children can understand to make that clear. So when children understand that, you can then introduce to them, through games and fun activities, the idea of manipulating sounds. So for example, one of the ways that we found to be very successful in doing this is playing oral language games. So we played, for example, the Simon Says game. Simon says, touch your shoulder, for example. And children have to work out what on earth that means. Or to pretend to be an animal, and they have to guess what the animal is. And the animal is named as a cat, for example, or as a wasp, and they have to work out what it is. Or maybe even a wasp, and they have to work out what this creature might be. And those kinds of fun activities, I think, encourage children to have mental flexibility when they reach the complicated spelling system of English. The Nifty Thrifty 50 is a short list of words and parts of words that you might find most frequently occurring in young children's books. It's put together by Cunningham in her book Phonics They Use. It's a lovely little scheme, and it's a very efficient way of putting together morphemes, units of meaning, and their associated prefixes and suffixes that go with those root morphemes. So it's a very helpful resource, and I think one of the things that's very helpful for teachers to have is an economical set that's teachable, that they'll get most value from, and that children will also see in their spoken language and, crucially, in text. We ran a study in Montreal in Canada where children are routinely exposed to English and French in schools, in some schools at least. And we ran a reading intervention using some of these approaches around mental flexibility that I've been describing. And what we did is we assessed them in English and in French after they'd had this intervention. And what we found is not only were they better in English than a group of young people who hadn't had this, but they were actually also better in their French word reading. And this, I think, is quite an interesting finding, because it suggests that what these young children who were struggling readers in Year 1, what they learned in English may well have transferred over into French. So that's an exciting finding, I think, in terms of understanding how bilingualism might work, but also in terms of understanding how mental flexibility might work.